Hey guys, EBPMAN here. Now if you're looking for the ultimate action camera for your next holiday vacation, and it could be either in the beach or it could be in the snow, then you're going to want to watch this video. A couple weeks ago we took a look at the Insta360, right? This is a 360 camera that basically gives you the ability to see or record everything without missing a shot, and then later on you can adjust it to see what you'd like to see and share with your friends. Well, today we're taking a look at the Insta360 One RS, which is very similar to this guy right here, but a different form factor. It looks a little bit more like, a standard action camera, but it has a lot of the same goodness we have in this camera here. Let's go ahead and check it out. Now, the Insta360 One RS that you see here, this is the twin edition. And this comes with two camera lens types, which makes this super cool, and it's a little bit different than the one I just showed you. It actually has the ability to switch lens types. You can actually switch three type of cameras, lenses on this unit to give you, again, a phenomenal capture experience that could be 360 or standard. So, this is the ultimate action camera as I described it. You can take 5.7K 360 video, and we'll describe that a little bit for those of you who may not be too familiar with that. We also can take 5.3 wide angle, so that's a 5.3K wide angle shots as well. And you could see that right here because we have this camera lens here. So you notice that there's actually two of them here, and you can just switch them out. There's also an optional, even wider solution that you can look at that we can talk about a little bit later. But this specific set that you see right here also has active HDR. Now, just like the previous version, this guy that we looked at just a couple weeks ago, it does support that invisible selfie stick that as you're taking video completely disappears and it looks like someone is following you, like you have a photographer or a drone following you. Matter of fact, if you take a look at our most recent bike video, you'll notice that bike video, all our bike videos have this type of tech in it to be able to get that second person view. It also then supports flow state technology, which means that you're going to have, combined with that stabilization, incredibly smooth photography, not having to carry a gimbal. It just is a gimbal-free experience. It also has something called horizon lock, which means that you're always going to be level. You're not going to see any of this crazy stuff going on when you're taking videos, and it just gives you a much more enjoyable experience. Now, this unit also has waterproofing, so you're looking at 16-foot waterproofing. There is an optional cage that you can put or enclosure where you can get this to go even deeper if you want to use this, for example, for scuba diving. It also has AI editing, which means that it's one of the most simplest things. You push a button and it's going to automatically take the shots for you. In this video, we're also going to take a look at the software itself, because while the phone editing is absolutely fantastic, it's phenomenal, the actual desktop solution is even better. You get improved video quality, obviously because you have the power of a desktop. And by the way, that could be a Mac or that also could be a PC. In addition to that, because we're going to go on a ride in a couple of minutes, because we actually have the Insta360 Bike Bundle. Right? So this has accessories that you could use when riding a bike. Now, in this case, it's showing a motorcycle, right? Or in this case, actually not a motorcycle, but actually like a mountain bike. And you can see this person actually going through some very rugged terrain. We're going to be using this on our bike, and we're going to take a look at the chest harness, the actual mount, and see how that experience changes when you're riding a bike. Because again, it just transforms everything. So if you want to do any kind of, let's say, video footage that you'd like to share with family, if you go on a lot of bike adventures that you can have when you're on vacation, this is a great accessory to have with as well. So let's go ahead and see what's in the box, and then we'll go through kind of like what the experience is like. Now we're going to take a look at the packaging for both of these, but before we do that, I just want to highlight the selfie sticks, because this is a must-have accessory when you're considering getting a bundle like this. This is going to give you that following experience that becomes invisible. So this entire stick, what you see right here, disappears from the video, which is so incredible. So the nice thing about this is that this is super compact. It could fit in your shorts, which is in many cases how I carry mine. And then it extends. Let me show you how far this thing extends. This extends. Watch this. It's still going, and it's still going, and that's how long this thing is. So lightweight, it just makes it really easy for you to just take your, again, your Insta360, in this case the One RS, connect it, and then just use it as if you were just walking around and recording what's going on. And the cool thing about it is, again, you don't have to be focusing on what you're seeing as long as you have your camera in your hand. So highly recommend this guy right here. Now, we have in the bundle here, we have, first of all, the camera. And you'll notice that I talked about the fact that it is a modular solution. So notice how easy I took this apart. It just snaps in just like this, and this is the 4K module. So let's say you're not looking to take an Insta360, meaning, you know, get everything around you. All you want to do is get what's in front of you. Then you could go with this module right here, and this is going to be 4K. It's going to be a wide angle, and it's going to take everything that it can capture in front of it, right? This is going to be great, especially if you have it mounted to your chest, right? And it's facing forward. On the back here, you notice that you have a viewing area that you're going to be able to see what the camera sees and actually do all of the, you know, just go through the controls. The other thing that you have here is a 360 module, and this one works very similar to the one that we were looking at a few weeks ago. This is the Insta 3X, right? So if you notice it, we'll put this right here right next to each other side by side. It's like this top portion, right? And the difference, though, with this one that we're looking at right now is the fact that all you have to do to make this work is you separate it like this, and you connect this one straight to it, right? Just like that. And now you have a 360 camera. Super duper cool, the fact that it's that modular. Now, the bottom portion right here that you're looking at is the battery. And the battery is going to go ahead and get connected right here in the bottom, and then it becomes a functional camera. So again, super convenient. And the cool thing about this is that you don't have to have two cameras. All you have to do is have one camera with you, one if you just want to use it as a standard action camera, and this one if you want to take 360 shots. You'll never miss a moment with that. Memory card, right? So we have Insta360 memory card. And then over here, we'll pull this out and we'll see what accessories we have in here. Make sure we're opening this right. Here it goes on the side. And what you're going to find here, as I bet, is USB-C cable. All right. You do have a cage, right? And let's see. And then we have some miscellaneous guide information. User guide, we have a cleaning cloth, which is always good to have, and some stickers. We'll put that over to the side. Open this up. Oh, I love this. So what you have here now, let's go ahead and open this up. So you have right here is your standard mount. Most, if not all, action cameras use a similar mounting mechanism. So you'll see this right here. So this is going to be universal when it comes to action cameras. And then over here, what you then have is a guard. And this guard is going to work great if you have this module on, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to scratch the lenses, right? So you just put it just like that, and then you're protecting that module right there, right? Now you notice that there's a lot of gap here, and that's because it's to be used with this cage that you see here. So we're going to go ahead and put this over to the side, and it's great to have these accessories included. You don't have to buy these. They're included right there. And then this is the actual, again, this you can use like this. This goes right here, connected. And then you use that little screw right here to tighten it together. And then what you do is with your selfie stick, you actually tighten this side to the selfie stick, right? Now, don't worry. Even though you see all this bulk coming at it, it still remains invisible. Right? It still remains invisible, and we'll explain that in a couple seconds. So this is how this would work. This would get connected here, and then what you have is this cage keeps everything together, right, for this solution right here. So that's everything that's here. Now let's look at the other piece that we have. So we're going to push this over to the side, and then we'll bring this piece in. Now, what we have here is the bike bundle. What I like about the bike bundle is I think it's more than a bundle that you could use in a bike situation, because this is not just bike, but this is hike, like a hiking bundle. This is the running bundle. I can think about all these different. This is the rock climbing bundle. And the reason why I would put it in all these different categories is because of the accessories that I have here. So you notice here, there is a mount that you can put on a helmet. So think about that. You're wearing a helmet, you're going rock climbing. You can actually put this mounted on top as you're climbing, not just biking. With biking, you'll notice how they have the visual here. Basically, you become like a unicorn, and you get a a different perspective. You can actually, if you're running on a terrain and you're jumping and doing all the stuff with, you know, one of those more rugged terrains with one of those bikes, mountain bikes, then that's one option. You can actually strap it onto the bike and mount it. That's an option. You can also then use the invisible selfie stick, and then you have this one right here, which is a kind of like a vest strap that you put on. I use this in every one of my video reviews, and you can mount the camera there. Now this is for running. This is not just the bike, but this could be if you're riding a horse. This could be for anything where you want to be able to capture that perspective without having the head movement, right? Because when you have it on this one, your head movement, where you look, even though you can reframe it, you know, that is going to be part of that experience. So I love that it has that. And when we look at this here, you just have lots of accessories, right? Because you can put this in a variety of ways. Look at all the pieces that you have here. So all these little pieces are going to allow you, it's like a Lego kit, to create the type of experience that you want when it comes to the mounting solution. Over here, look at these right here. Right? These are all going to be connecting to the case or to another part. We have the chest mount area, and let me show you this. So you can see this right here. This is where things are going to lock into place. And this is what you would put around you. So this would go on your body. So if you notice how this looks like right here, I'll have this on a little bit later. It goes on with the back, and then you would mount the camera right in front. Makes it hands-free, and then that way you could do the things that you want to do. Now, in here, you'll notice that you have other mounting solutions, and I really, really like this. This is really cool, because this is going to be great for, like, if you want to put this on a handlebar, right? So if we open this up, here you have some material, and I know that this is a little bit on the thicker side. You notice that that's going to be giving you a lot of clamping. The cool thing about this is that this is changeable. So I can take this, because this is going to be for a smaller bar or a thinner bar, and then I can switch it with this one right here. And this plugs in here, and then all of a sudden notice that the gap is different. So I can use this for a thicker bike, you know, handlebar, or something like that. So it's good that you have those options here, and these are just the mounting solutions that would go with this. Now you do have what I call a small unicorn, right? So this right here, you could use it in a couple places. First of all, on the helmet that you're wearing, right? You can put that there. You could even use it on the chest mount to bring the camera out a little bit further if that's something that you want to do. Don't see a lot of use for that. But then also what you can do is use it when you're using here, just like this, right? So when you're putting it on the bike, if you want to get a different perspective, you can put this on the side. There's a variety of things that you can do. Now, in addition to that, this actually has a lot of functionality, because you could use it in combination with this, right? And what this is going to do is it could give you the ability to mount this on a bike, put this selfie stick, and remember, this extends, right? So since you have that extension, and then you could create that drone following like view. Use this all the time. Now let me show you how everything connects and how modular and also flexible the solution is, because it's really all about that. So we've already seen these couple components, but I wanted to show you what would it look like all put together. So what you see right here is everything all put together, right? So here we have the 4K module. I have this facing backwards so I can see what it's doing, and then, you know, pretty much you'd be using it this way because it doesn't see anything behind it, doesn't see anything above it. It's just going to be what this lens can cover. Battery modules here on the bottom, and we'll go ahead and remove this so you can see what's going on here. There's some doors here on the side, and because this is kind of like the master brain to the system. And then here you have your USB-C, and then you also have we're going to put your memory card in. On this side, there's really nothing to be seen there. Now, if you want to switch this out, all you do is you push this down like this. All right, it comes apart. So now the battery is separate. And now what you can do is say, I want to shoot 360 videos, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this, and all we're going to do is just plug it in just like this. And now everything is changed, right? Now we have a 360. Remember, the memory card is still here because this is the brains of everything. And now we have this 360 experience. And then all I do is align. Notice how I have the battery there on this side? All I do is that. I'm going to align them together. Make sure that everything here looks good. And actually, I got it upside down. So I'm going to put it like this. There we go. You see how that right there aligns. And align the battery over here and snap it together. Now it's a 360 action camera from a standard 4K, and it even powered up. And you can see that the menu is right here. I'm going to go ahead and go through the setup. I'm going to go ahead and put a memory card. You notice it says that the SD is in there. And then I'll show you what everything else looks like. As soon as you power up your camera, one of the first things you have to do after adding an SD card is connect it to your phone so that you can activate the actual camera as well as update if there's any kind of firmware needs. That was definitely the case with this being brand new and out of the box. Now, I'm going to go ahead and move some things around here, and I have my camera here. I did put on this thing right here just for a second because of the lenses, right? So I'm going to remove it because we have that 360 lens. And what you're going to be able to see is, again, it's an interesting view. So I wanted to give you kind of like a sense of what the camera's seeing with my phone here on the side. And I'm going to go ahead and reduce the brightness on this just so that I make sure that you can see everything that I see here. So we'll bring this down a little bit. And now, okay, so now you can see, yeah, that is coming across a little bit better. So a couple things are happening. How do 360 cameras work, first of all, for those of you who are new to 360? So basically what happens is this lens goes around and covers everything from a 360 perspective on this side, and then it does the same thing on this side. So basically, it's covering everything. And I'm going to put my finger here on the side. Let me see how I can do this where you can see it. You'll notice that even though I have my finger here, it doesn't see it, right? Because, and I'm going to put it somewhat like this now, right? So what's happening is that these lenses that are right here are able to capture this side and this side. They're able to capture both sides. And what it's doing, these lenses, is it's stitching the middle. So anything that's here in the middle becomes invisible, but it's able to capture everything. And that's what makes this thing so powerful when it comes to vacations or any kind of sport event that you want to capture, because you don't have to worry about where the camera is pointing because it's capturing everything on the top, everything on the bottom, everything to the left and to the right, and then anything, you know, that's in this blind spot doesn't show up. When you think about the selfie stick, and let me see where I put it. Okay, so here it is. If I were to grab it and I were to put it right here next to the camera, because the thickness of the selfie stick is thinner than the camera, it disappears. It's not seen at all. That's the cool thing about this, right? So now let's go back to the camera for a second. Now you have a lot of controls, things that you could do in here, control things where you don't need the phone. But I wanted to show you kind of like what's going on here with the phone, and you're actually seeing my overhead camera as well as some of the things going on. But you have a lot of control options. So first of all, you have video options, right? And you can actually work on different configurations here. And you'll notice here at the very top, you'll notice a lot going on here when it comes to resolution. 4K, in this case, it's 5.7K, 30 frames per second, 20 frames per second, 24 frames per second. You can reduce it to 4K or 3K. You also then have your battery level, your memory card status, how much space you have. And there's a whole host of different capabilities that you can test out and play with. There's just so many different options here. So for example, you could just take a photo, right? So if you want to take a photo, you can do a high definition HDR photo, right? So that's another photo option. You could highlight a shot. You can do intervals. You can do burst shots. You can do star lapse, which is kind of like a night shot. You have HDR videos, right? And then also what you have is bullet time, which is, it's almost like a Matrix type experience where you're just swirling it up in the air and it's able to capture things really cool. You're able to do time lapse, loop recording, right? And the loop recording is pretty cool because you can actually put something like this on your dash and then why not use it as if it were a dash cam. And then you do have the ability to go live, and if you go live, then here are some of the options of what you can do to go live. That's obviously going to take up a lot of power. So a lot of flexibility here, and a lot can be done in the app. So you can see all the control options that are here, but they're also available here, but it's just easier to show on the phone. Now let me show you everything that the camera captures when you're using the 360, and I just want to show you a little bit about the app. And here what you see is, this is a video that I took for a bike review. And at first you see everything in front of me, but watch what I'm going to do now. I'm going to go ahead and turn it around this way, and you notice that right here you can see me, right? Because the camera's capturing everything. I don't have to worry about where this thing is pointed. Now as I'm swiping over, I can see the timeline. I actually have the camera on my waist, right? And as I'm going through it, I can actually determine at what point would I like to be able to start recording, right? And you'll notice here as I rotate the camera like this, now there's a couple things that I can do. So right now it looks like there's nothing there, but I actually have a waistband that has this selfie stick on it connected onto me. And I'm just going to show you kind of like how powerful this thing is. Let's move a little bit further right here. And we're going to go ahead and come to this spot right here. I think this is where I start writing. All right. So a lot of things that can happen here. So here you can see everything is here. I can zoom in, zoom out, and you're like, where's the camera? It's like magic. All I do is I hit the plus sign here. And when I do this, I can determine there's a lot of things I can switch. I'm going to switch it this way. And the app does this on the desktop much better. It has much better quality. First thing what you'll notice here is that I have the ability to view things in a frame, which means that I am, just whatever the camera's capturing in front of it is. Now, I have a lot of options here. I have frame, I have viewfinder, I have deep track. And I'm going to tell you that my favorite is going to be viewfinder and deep track for two reasons. With deep track, all you do is you tap, highlight the subject that you want to keep in frame, and then you hit start tracking. And what it's going to do is, no matter what's happening, notice it's keeping track of me everywhere as I'm going around. And again, this is what I was using. It's keeping track of everything, right? So that's one option, right? And it just creates a really nice video. Now the cool thing about this is that I'm right now capturing this video for use on YouTube, but I can say, you know what, I want this for Instagram. And now notice how things changed. Now this is an Instagram video. And if I were to say, I wonder how this looks, right? I could just look and see how this is being captured. Look at the framing is still there. It knows where I'm at. And now I've repurposed this video. Not only have I repurposed the shot, but I've also then repurposed it now for Instagram. And it was only shot once. Now the other option that you have here, which is my favorite, is using the actual version right here that, and I'm going to hit a plus sign, is the actual viewfinder. And with viewfinder, it's a little bit different. With viewfinder, I just want you to see this. As I'm moving my camera up, you'll notice how the image is moving too. As I move it right, or if I move it left, it basically is my camera becomes like I'm the cameraman after the video shot. So I'm able to walk around and do something like this, and you're able to see everything. Let me show you what I'm talking about. All right, now let me show you how this is going to work, right? I'm going to go ahead and take it out of the overhead shot, but you're still going to be able to see what I'm recording. So you can see, basically, I have that record button here on the bottom, but watch what happens. I'm going to turn around, and as I'm turning around, check this out. Isn't this crazy? Basically, I'm the cameraman, and even though I'm turning around, and you see me turning around in studio, the camera is turning around too as I'm doing that. Isn't that wild? And what I could then do is I can press that button, and it's going to start recording things. And I have the ability to zoom out, right, to see everything there. I have the ability to zoom in, and as I bring this camera down, you notice as I'm moving it down and down, I'm able to focus on my feet pedaling. I'm able to pull back, and now I'm focusing on my full body. And then if I want to zoom in to, let's say, in the upper part of my torso, this is what I'm doing. Check that out. All right? And what I could do is I could give this a different perspective. As I turn this way, now all of a sudden I have the perspective of the street that I'm on, right? And if I turn completely, now I'm just focused on the street. And then I could go back. You could also do something that's called Tiny Planet. And you can see this is what the Tiny Planet looks like. Isn't that wild? Pretty wild, right? So all these options are created anywhere. So imagine you using your phone, then using the Insta360 One RS or the X3 to be able to capture everything around you and then transform that using a phone or a desktop. Crazy. All right, guys, so let's take a look at the Insta360 app, because this is one of the most powerful ways and also most flexible ways to get an incredible, I would say, video out of your camera. And once again, this is going to work with
all of the Insta360 cameras. So what you see here is our recording riding a bike. And I just want to go over the app just in a couple seconds. We're not going to go over everything. This is not a tutorial about the app, but just to show you some of the capabilities and the flexibility. So we're going to focus on this side really quick. So one of the things that you could do is you can set your flow state stabilization, and that's going to give you, regardless of the bumpiness of the camera, and I will tell you that as I was riding the bike, the actual selfie stick that was extended here was out and it was bouncing. So you're going to see the difference with the fact that this flow state stabilization gives you really great experience. You also have some direction lock. I don't turn on the direction lock because I like being able to modify certain things as I'm doing my recording. Over here you have stitching, right? So what you can do is you can go normal stitching, you can do custom stitching, you could do also some dynamic stitching, right? And then some additional. So here's optical flow stitching, chroma calibration if needed. You know, you could go ahead and just play with these if you'd like to see if you need to be able to eliminate some of the stitching issues that you may have. I'm going to show you, what a stitching issue looks like in the program, and just to give you a sense of what you can expect. Here you have also color changes that you can make or adjustments if you were shooting underwater. Also true audio. I'm going for noise reduction because I'm actually out on the bike. And you can do color plus too, and I'm just going to hit this right here so you can see the difference. Notice how things kind of light up. I kind of like that, but I feel that it feels a little artificial. So I'm not going to use this setting when doing my recording, so I'm going to leave it off, but you can see what's going on there. Now you can have a logo in there, your own, or something that's Insta360. Over here, project information, and then your file properties. Now, at the very bottom here, there's some things that you can do, right? So here is the ability to mark certain areas, start and end points, adjust the volume, and then you have the ability to either mark something or deep track something. And now the cool thing about deep track is that as soon as you choose it, it allows you to select the subject, and then it's pretty easy, right? You just let the artificial intelligence do its thing. You have the ability here to modify your ratio, like what would you like to shoot this at. So as you choose this, you basically can have, something that is more for TikTok or Instagram, something that's for YouTube, and you can just modify this. This is the cool thing about the camera. So you shoot once, and then you can create content for multiple different, I would say, devices or network types that you're looking to work with, right? And then what we have is time shift capabilities, you have motion blur, and then you can zoom in and zoom out. Now each one of these points, when I click on it, I have the ability to make certain settings. So you'll notice right here in this time point, you can see the view. The camera is actually coming out right here in front of me. And what you have here is all the parameters that I've established for this view. And there's certain things that you can do. So you'll notice that this one's right now at 90. If I change this, look what's happening, right? So I can pull this out. And this is a different now view, right, compared to what we were seeing here in the 90 degree. Now, if I get a little bit closer, notice how close I can get, right, in my recording. So again, this is the cool thing, and really it's all about that reframing technology that we're talking about. You then also have the ability to really manipulate or work with the, again, the distortion here. So you could do something like this, and you notice that as I pull it back out, there's like a fisheye effect that takes place, right? So you can go from 0, or you can kind of get a little bit more wider as you're getting more of that in. Here you can determine if you want to go up and down, and you're going to see how I can change that, right? I set it to natural view, and it kind of resets everything together. And then this is the rotation, so that you can rotate it if you'd like. Now what you do is, as you're going through the video, you just look at different points, and you adjust what you want the camera angle to look like. Notice how I switched here to kind of like a further. You notice that right here, this is 114. So watch what's going to happen when I hit play. And it's going to go through. I'm going to turn off the audio for a second so that we don't hear the audio. Let me go ahead and do that. All right, so now the cool thing about this, we'll bring that off. And you'll notice that as soon as it hits this point, the camera is going to change somewhat, right? And notice how it turned. Because all I did was I moved the camera view to the front, and now I'm going to move it back, and it's basically each one of these points indicates how the camera angle is being, viewed. So this is like having that virtual camera person following you. Now from this point to this point, there's nothing changing. So what I want to do is I'm going to show you how easy this is. So let's say I come to this point right here, and what I'd like to do is I'd like to introduce a keyframe. Once I introduce the keyframe, I can determine the angle that I want. So right now, that's the current angle, right? What I could do is I can choose, what I want to do is I want to do either this view, I can use a tiny planet view, right? And then what I could say is, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit so I can get really close to this one. Then I want to say that immediately at this point right here, I'm going to add another keyframe, right? So I'm going to add another keyframe. Let me go ahead and move that over right there because it can't be on the same area. I can always move it because I want it close, right? I just want to pop into this, and then what I want to do is I want to switch it back, right? So I'm not going to, I could do this default view too. So here's the default, right? If I wanted to, I can position where I want myself to be. I can also then say, hey, you know what? I'd like to be a little bit further away, so I can pull this out a little bit, right? That's how further I want to be. And I can say this looks good for me. I'm not going to rotate it. I could, right? So if I rotate it, I can move it left. I can move it right. I can just adjust it. I'm just going to leave it around there. That looks pretty good. And now I'm going to go ahead and go back into this timeline and zoom in back to the timeline. Let's get this out. Let me just move this over so you can see those 2 points that are there. Let's go back. And now we're going to see what's going to happen here. So we'll move a little bit further back. So watch what happens now, right? So we'll go ahead here first. Here's our first view. Switches to this angle. Now I see a front-facing view. And then what I'm going to do is come back, right? This is the cool part. And then this is going to continue to run for a couple seconds. And then when it gets to this point here, I'm going to get that tiny planet view that you just saw. So I'm going to help it by speeding up a little bit. I'm going to move forward, maybe up to here. And let me get a little further back so you can see that transition kick in, because it's going to kick in slowly. I'm going to hit play. And you're going to see that what it's doing is preparing for that tiny planet view. Now, what I could do is I could bring in a standard point and look at the tiny planet view, how it's doing it slowly. I can bring in another point ahead of it to keep it in the standard view and then let it switch again. So here's tiny planet. Look how cool this looks. And then what it's going to do is it's going to switch back because I have another keyframe there. See how that switched? Boom, it went back to normal. So it did the tiny planet view and then it came out. That's one view or one of the features you can have. So you have a lot of different capabilities, and you'll notice right now I'm kind of taking off the camera because I'm going to move it over to the side so that you can see how it looks from a side view. So a lot of different capabilities, and if we go here, this is what the side view would look like, right? So I basically have the camera in my hand and I have the side view, and if I hit play, you'll notice how I'm rotating it back onto the bike mount that was supplied by Insta360. And it gives you a really cool view. Look at this. It looks like I have a camera person following me in some type of like dolly, right? That they're just like following side of me. And I'm doing this all on my own. Now, you'll notice right here some of the stitching going on because of the angle. So if I would have to lower this camera down, because it's right now it's going up in an angle, I wouldn't see the stitching here. So this is something that you'll play with and you'll learn more about. But once again, you can see how cool this is to have a camera person with you, even though you're all by yourself. So guys, let's go over our setup here. So a couple things to highlight. So first of all, we have the actual mount here that came with the kit. I have the selfie stick, and then I have the One RS connected right there that is basically capturing this image that you see here in 360. My phone is just here for me to keep track of what's going on. I'm also recording with the One RS this video in 4K. Pretty cool that I figured out how to get all this stuff done and positioned this way. So here what we're gonna do next is we're gonna go on a ride and we're gonna see different angles of how this all works together. It's a little gloomy in Chicago. It's getting cold and I see some snowflakes coming. So let's get on our ride. All right, so now the cool thing about this recording is that since I am on an electric bike, I don't have to worry about really pedaling, so this is going to be a lot easier for this review. So first thing that you'll notice is that as you're using the Insta360, the benefit is once again that stick disappears, and I'm able to take this shot and just worry about writing and then narrating what I'd like to cover in this video. Now, I do realize that not everyone is a content creator, so if you were to think about yourself traveling on vacation, really enjoying everything that's going on around you, as long as you have the selfie stick out, right, with the Insta360 One RS on there, all you have to do is just enjoy the scene and not have to worry about anything else. Everything is being captured, and then what I could do is later I can actually edit and really get any kind of shot I'd like to get. So what I'm going to do in a couple seconds is I'm going to shift to where I have the camera from being in front of me, which right now it's going to be able to capture me, and then it's also going to be able to capture what's in front, and then shift it so that you can see what else you can do with this camera. All right, so now we went ahead and I basically changed the angle of the camera, and fortunately the actual mount itself can swivel 360, right? So I rotated it from being forward to being on my right, and now you're getting me riding the bike, and it's once again as if I had my own camera crew following me. And this is the cool thing about having a camera like this. Still have the positioning, the ability to, you know, reframe what I'd like to see, because once again the camera is just capturing everything all at once as I'm riding. And boy, is it cold in Chicago! All right, so here's the other cool thing about the camera. I have the selfie stick in my hand, and I'm not right now changed the angle of the shot completely. The selfie stick is vertical, right above me, just holding it as I'm riding the bike. So this is going to give me another view, and if I were to put the selfie stick behind me, now I have a drone follow type experience. So the camera is basically following me, or giving me like that drone-like experience, even though it's right now over my shoulder. So again, this is the versatility of this camera when it comes to all the different shots you can get, and how you can just change the perspective depending on how you're holding the selfie stick. Pretty cool, huh?
So guys, that wraps up our review. See you in the next video.